All right. In today's Think With Me session, we are going to look at the dead internet theory. So this popped up on a sheet a few months ago when Sabine talked about it.
On search engine traffic, most importantly, news media. Bill Gates has gone so far to claim that AI might kill Google. The dead internet theory seems more plausible than ever, and that is only the beginning.
And Joe Rogan.
I like it. That Reddit dead internet thing. Reddit did it.
Okay, so kind of everyone is talking about it. So what we have done is created some deep research on Perplexity and with the Notebook LM, curated everything, and we are going to think through this. All right, so let's see. First, let's listen to a debate around this, okay?
Welcome to the debate. Today, we are staring into, well, the abyss of the digital world and asking if that abyss has finally blinked. For years, the dead internet theory, the notion that, organic human activity has been displaced by bots and algorithms, was dismissed as fringe paranoia. It was the stuff of creepypastas. But here we are, February 2026, and the data suggests we've crossed a Rubicon. Reports from the last year indicate we've hit a tipping point where automated traffic has mathematically surpassed human activity, driven largely by this explosion in generative AI. So the question we're tackling today is simple, but, well, terrifying. Is the internet effectively dead? I'm the advocate, and I argue that the human internet is now basically a minority enclave in a machine-centric world.
And I'm the dissenter, and I see the exact same data, but I see a very, very different story. I'd argue the internet isn't dying, it's transforming. We aren't witnessing an extinction event for human discourse. What we're seeing is a chaotic evolution into a kind of symbiotic ecosystem where humans and AI interact in ways we are frankly just beginning to understand. Dead internet is a catchy headline, sure, but it completely misses the nuance of what's actually happening under the hood.
I appreciate the optimism, I do, but I think nuance is becoming a luxury we can't afford when you just look at the raw numbers. Let's look at the hard evidence. We have the 2025 Bad Bot Report from Thales. For the first time in a decade of tracking, automated traffic has officially surpassed human activity. We are looking at 51% of all web traffic being non-human. And we're not just talking about helpful search crawlers here. The report highlights that 37% of all internet traffic is specifically malicious bots.
I have the report right here. And yeah, the 51% figure is startling, but we need to be precise about what malicious even means in this context.
It means they're not there to help.
Well, technically, it means they violate the site owner's terms of service. But a bot scraping pricing data to find you a cheaper flight is malicious to the airline, yet it's incredibly useful to the human consumer. But I know that's not the main thrust of your worry.
It's really not. We've moved past the era of simple price scrapers. We are now dealing with what researchers Lopez Joya and colleagues classify as AASBs. That's AIGC enhanced social bots. These aren't the clunky spam bots of 2015 that just retweeted keywords. No, these are their agents using generative AI to steer discussions, to manipulate public opinion, with a level of efficiency that human networks just can't match. They get the context, they use slang, and they don't get tired. When the majority of traffic is synthetic and a massive chunk of that is malicious, the human internet is no longer the default state. It's the exception.
See, I'm not disputing the volume. I am, however, disputing the conclusion you're drawing from it. You're conflating traffic volume with value and influence. Yes, the Thales report puts automated traffic at 51%. But let's look at the content production side of things. The Graphite and Futurism report from late 2025, it paints a picture of equilibrium, not total takeover. They analyzed tens of thousands of articles and found that while there was this massive spike in AI content after ChatGPT came out, that trend has plateaued. As of May 2025, the split for new content is roughly 52% AI to 48% human.
That is hardly a comforting statistic. The machines are still out publishing us.
But the growth has stopped. That's the key here. It implies we've reached a kind of saturation point. The internet isn't just spiraling into infinite noise, it's stabilizing. And furthermore, we have to look at how humans are reacting to this. Cloudflare's 2025 year in review highlighted that humans are adapting their infrastructure. We're seeing a massive uptake in post-quantum encryption. 50% of human web traffic is now using it.
For the listeners, let's just clarify that. Why the sudden rush for quantum-proof encryption?
Right. It's a defense against harvest now, decrypt later attacks. Bad actors scrape up encrypted data now, hoping that future quantum computers will be able to crack it open. The fact that half of all traffic is upgrading to prevent this shows that humans are actively fortifying their position. I mean, this isn't the behavior of a dying species. It's the behavior of one that's digging in. As Stefano Sato put it in that futurism analysis, we're entering a phase of symbiosis. The line between tool and creator is blurred, sure, but the human remains the decision maker.
Symbiotic implies a mutually beneficial relationship. What I see looks more like a parasitic takeover. And let's talk about the nature of this content you say is plateauing. We need to discuss the slop.
I had a feeling we'd get to the slop. It's the buzzword of the year.
We have to. It's the visible manifestation of the dead internet. We saw that viral phenomenon of shrimp Jesus on Facebook. These bizarre AI-generated images of crustaceans and religious figures meshed together, getting thousands of amen comments from other bots. This is what Wikipedia and cultural critics are calling AI slop. It's low-quality engagement farming garbage. But it's not just a funny meme. It represents a fundamental break in the feedback loop. Cloudflare's data shows AI platforms are crawling aggressively. Googlebot, ByteSpider, Claudebot, but they're not driving traffic back to the sources. Anthropic's crawl to refer ratio hit 500,000 to 1. They take 500,000 units of value and return 1.
That ratio is problematic. I agree. It's an economic imbalance.
It's unsustainable. It creates what's being called self-replicating prompts. Bots interact with bots in a loop that humans literally cannot disrupt because we just can't generate content fast enough to intervene. ResearchGate papers are pointing to the existence of networks like Chirper, a social network exclusively for AI bots. They talk to each other, they post, they comment. No humans allowed. To me, Chirper isn't a novelty. It's a grim preview of the wider web. If the open web becomes a place where machines talk to machines to farm engagement metrics that determine ad revenue, where does the human fit in?
But you're pointing to Shrimp, Jesus, and Chirper as if they represent the totality of the web. They don't. They represent the fringes and, frankly, the failures of specific platform incentives. The Shrimp Jesus thing is a failure of Facebook's algorithm to penalize low-quality content, not proof that human discourse is dead. And regarding the slop, let's be precise. AI-generated does not equal fake or useless. The Graphite report you and I have both read found that 86% of articles ranking in Google search were still written by humans.
For now.
That data is from 2025. Search engines are incentivized to surface human content because that's what users actually want. If users only see Shrimp Jesus, they leave the platform. The market corrects. And I think your definition of bot traffic is just way too broad. If I use an AI tool to draft a coding solution or help me write a difficult email, is that dead traffic? Is that slop? No, of course not. It's augmented human activity. You're seeing a graveyard. I'm seeing a construction site where the heavy machinery, the AI, is doing the loud, messy work, but the blueprints are still human.
But can we even tell the difference anymore? This brings me to the failure of detection. The premise of your construction site relies on the idea that we can distinguish the architect from the machine, and the evidence says we can't.
Detection is certainly a challenge, no doubt.
It's more than a challenge. It's an arms race that we are losing. The Walter Wrights analysis from 2025 shows AI detectors only perform at about 65 to 90% accuracy. That sounds okay until you realize that simply paraphrasing AI text drops detection accuracy by over 20%. And it gets worse. Research from Fang and colleagues on Archive shows that using LLM-guided manipulation strategies, so asking one AI to rewrite another AI's output to specifically evade detection, can bring down the performance of existing bot detectors by nearly 30%.
But that's the nature of security research. It's always cat and mouse.
But the mouse is now a hyper-intelligent swarm. And there's a real cost to this failure. Walter Wrights also highlights a significant bias. Detectors frequently flag non-native English speakers as bots. So we're punishing actual humans because their writing style might mimic the statistical predictability of an LLM. We are building a digital caste system where perfect grammar is suspicious and human imperfection is the only proof of life. If we cannot trust our ability to tell the difference, the foundation of trust online just evaporates.
I think you're underestimating the innovation on the defense side. You cite the failure of detectors, but the research from Lopez Joya and colleagues outlines completely new categorization schemes, distinguishing between spam bots, social manipulation, personalized attacks. We aren't just lumping everything into bot or not bot anymore. We're getting granular. And regarding the Fang study you mentioned, yes, attacks are getting better, but so are the defenses. We are now using LLMs to detect LLMs.
Firefighting fire?
Exactly. The mixture of heterogeneous experts framework mentioned in that Archive research is fascinating. Instead of one giant detector, it uses instruction tuning on really small data sets, as few as 1,000 examples, to train specialized experts. One expert might look for syntax, another for semantic flow, and they found this method outperforms the baselines by over 9%. We are developing specialized AI-driven defense mechanisms. It's not that detection is impossible. It's that general-purpose detection is becoming obsolete. We are moving towards specialized, context-aware verification. It's not a lost cause. It's just becoming a professionalized security sector, not some free tool you click on in a browser.
But while we wait for these professional tools to trickle down, the societal damage is happening now. And this leads us to the inversion.
The concept from the YouTube engineers, right?
Yes, The fear that algorithms will begin to treat fake views and fake engagement as the default and real human views as the anomalies. The inversion is already bleeding into the real economy. The Thales report notes that in the travel and retail sectors, 41 to 59% of their traffic is advanced bots. This isn't just social media vanity metrics, this is inventory hoarding, price scraping, denial of service.
That's economic friction, certainly.
It is more than friction, it's infrastructure capture. And socially, the ResearchGate findings on ASBs are chilling. These bots are now sophisticated enough to focus on community polarization and cross-community penetration. They aren't just spamming ads, they are actively infiltrating human communities to shape belief systems. If 51% of the traffic is bots, and a huge chunk of them are designed to polarize us, how can we possibly say the internet is a space for human connection? It's a space for automated psychological warfare.
I think we need to reframe this. You call it infrastructure capture, but I see it as a security challenge that we are actively managing. You mentioned the economic impact, but look at the Cloudflare data regarding internet outages. Nearly half of the internet outages in 2025 were planned shutdowns to prevent cheating on academic exams.
Wait, you're using government shutdowns as a positive example? I'm using it to prove that real human activity, exams, education, certification, is still the priority that the infrastructure is designed to protect. Governments and organizations are taking drastic measures to ensure the integrity of human achievement. That proves the human element is still the most valuable asset on the network. The dead internet theory has two versions, according to the academic literature. There's the weak version that elites use bots for marketing and propaganda. That's undeniably true, but that's just modern advertising. It existed long before AI.
And the strong version?
The strong version is that society has collapsed or that the internet is entirely a hallucination. And that is paranoia. The internet is messy, yes. It is full of noise, but to say it's dead is to ignore the billions of humans who are using tools like post-quantum encryption and specialized detection to carve out spaces for genuine interaction. We aren't being replaced. We're being forced to prove we're real. That's a burden, yes, but it is not death.
I see why you want to frame it that way. It's a comforting thought that we're still in charge. But when I look at the aggregate of this data, I see a fundamental shift in the substrate of reality. We have 51% automated traffic. We have detection tools that fail against paraphrased text. We have AESBs acting as structural opinion controllers. If I go online and I cannot reliably tell if the person I am debating is a human or a customized LLM running on a server farm in a basement, the internet as a place of human connection is effectively over. It has become a simulation where we are the unwitting participants.
I suppose it comes down to what you think the internet is for. If you think it's a pristine town square, then yes, that is dead. But if you view it as a complex, evolving ecosystem, then it's alive and kicking. The data shows a plateau in AI content generation, suggesting we are hitting a limit to saturation. We have new tools, post-quantum encryption, LLM-based verification, that show humans are adapting. The internet isn't dead. It has become a cyborg environment. The challenge for the listener isn't the absence of humans. It's the work required to verify their presence amidst all the noise.
And that is the question we leave you with today. Are you browsing a graveyard haunted by the ghosts of human intent? Or are you navigating a noisy, chaotic construction site of a new digital reality?
Thank you for joining us on this analysis of the source material.
Welcome to the future. We hope it's real. This has been The Debate.
Welcome to the future. We hope that is real. Okay. So I have a few thoughts on this, and I've noted down as well. Maybe I should start talking as soon as these thoughts come to me. Probably, we'll see. So this is the research output. First of all, what's the definition of the internet? Then if you look at it from that standpoint, then the definite answer to the question whether the internet is dead is an astounding no. So the internet's definition is an electronic communications network that connects computer networks and organizational computer facilities around the world. So basically, it's a network that connects computing devices. It can be a laptop, it can be an office desktops, it can be a phone, can be a smartwatch, doesn't matter. Anything that's able to convert analog data into digital data and then transfer it across the network, that is the internet, and that's never going to be dead. Unless we wipe out all the fiber optic networks and anything that makes this possible, right? So it's really about what is the content, and if if you're looking at the internet as the only place for people to connect, then of course we could gladly say this is dead, because then this will force people to go meet real people and form communities, exchange stories, learn from each other and whatnot, right? So the content, and as the female AI talked about, which is the AI slop is plateauing. I don't believe in that at all, because it's only going to keep on increasing. Everyone who thinks that they are missing out on creating a so-called personal brand is going to use all the tools that are available to them and then start creating content. And the missing piece was creation to distribution, which I think tools like Claude bot or OpenBot, those kind of things, Open Claude, whatever the name is right now, Moltbot, right? All this is going to help in distributing the content. And then you'll be realizing, oh, I'm able to distribute. Why don't I now go and engage with the other high personal branded people? And then so that you will get some traffic into your personal brand and whatnot, right? So this whole ecosystem will be automated, whether we like it or not. And but the content itself is then leading to the whole context of how the economy itself works, right? So the time that I'm putting into creating this content, you're putting into listening to this content, all those things are sliced into sessions, and these sessions are then diced and put together to create a version of a human being, and then so that ads can be targeted towards them, we can hook people onto that, and essentially the whole of the economy itself is one way or the other tied to the internet, right? uh, the the metrics that you can look at could be daily active users, whether now the user would be user plus bot or just daily active bots would itself become a metric of measurement. And that will somehow translate into value being created or priced. And if it's something is priced, then finance can come in and create monetary systems on top of it, right? So if you look at the internet and the value of it, one way to look at it would be the total value of all the markets put together is, from a cash standpoint, is 140 trillion. And if you add the derivatives market, it comes up to almost 1,000 trillion itself, a quadrillion. And that's the market. The dark green is the cash market and the light green is the derivatives market. And then if you look at the GDPs of the countries put together, that is essentially 100 to 115 trillion dollars. And the third would be the communities. Now, this is where your time is going into, caring for others, or you're part of nonprofits, volunteers, and whatnot, or cooperative societies, labor unions, all those things. We put it under the one vertical called the community, and that comes up to like 10 to 15 trillion dollars. So this is 10 to 15. This is 100 to 120. This whole thing comes up to like a quadrillion or 1,000 trillion. So this will essentially become the value of the internet. What we are building is the internet of value, which is flipping and asking, what does value even mean? But right now, at this stage, it's important to look at the internet is something through which all this value is being transferred through packets, through in terms of time being captured, sliced and diced into data packets, and then moved across the globe to data centers, and data centers are then again replicating in a way that the whole economy can function in one way or the other, right? So this overall 120 trillion or 1,200 trillion, right? Whatever, is the overall value of the internet itself. So the simple answer is whether the internet is dead or the dead internet theory is bullshit and it's never going to be dead. How it will evolve, again, as the female AI in the conversation that we listened to talked about, it will evolve into some form. Like humans, we have always adopted and adapted. Um, so for us to adapt to this new reality, we will augment ourselves to start creating bots and agents for ourselves. Maybe like how we have Aadhaar IDs and social security numbers to prove that we are humans in the real world. And on the internet, there are certain things that are happening to make sure that people are human. There's this project called WorldCoin, which is there's a concept of the orb, and orb basically scans your iris and retina, and then it creates a proof of human, right? So Sam Altman, by the way, has invested in this project and started off as a crypto project, but I think it's becoming more and more relevant to prove that you are a human. This thing popped up very recently, which is uh, rent a human. Is like bots are now trying to rent humans, right? And the way that you recognize that you're a human, or you tell the bot that you're a human, is through this blue check mark, and the blue check mark comes at a price of like $10, or they also have $100 version, which is also very similar to how Twitter is doing it, right? Like if you buy a blue check mark, then they give you, then they kind of consider you as a real user, and then you're fed to more humans and whatnot, right? But I don't think that is the right way. We have the whole identity stack and identity as an API. So within the Internet of Value, if Moses Sampol is creating this video, and I have a 21 parameter identity stack, which on a day-to-day basis, I'm able to log my 24 hours to show my well-being score, then it's not just the entry that the human, but also the overall time stack that is being captured. So the future is humans with AI agents, maybe an Aadhaar or an SSN for bots. And within the Internet of Value, like I was talking about, the identity will look something like this, where you will have the skills listed, the personal story, and everything has a video to back it up. And on top of that, you'll also have what's the virtues and values. Like I said, like it's 21 stack, 21 variable identity stack, which will be supported by the identities that are given to you, the academics, real world identities, and the socials itself. So imagine you have a space on the internet where you can hang out with people like this who have their identity sorted or thought through. And then on top of that, they're able to log 24 hours a day, um, which leads to well-being score. And well-being score is tied to the value being created on an hourly basis or the time slice basis. That is what the Internet of Value is. But the dead internet theory is kind of accelerating the moment for the Internet of Value to kind of happen. So this was all my thoughts before the record, before we listened to this podcast together. And yeah, so I would like to know what your thoughts are on this whole concept of the dead internet theory. Is it just the content overtaking human content? Is that the thing? Or is there a better way? Also, your thoughts on what WorldCoin is doing, what Rent a Human is doing, and what we are trying to do within the Internet of Value. Yeah, so I'll leave you with one thought, which is related to what we discussed yesterday, which is the model for truth seeking. That'll become a core skill in itself if you're going to judge. If you're in a position of making judgment, then having this mental model to look at a particular thing from multiple perspectives, and also who is saying it, to make sure that, so for example, this whole thing, I'm saying it because one, I'm curious because it's something about the internet, and we are creating something called the Internet of Value, right? And so who is saying it? Why is there a skin in the game or a vested interest, depending on the perspective, as to why they are saying it? And then you look at it through different perspectives, right? Like, okay, what does internet go through at a fundamental level? And you think, okay, once you have found the truth, you still have to then bring it down to the level of your identity. Like, how does it matter? Why does it matter in my life and in the 24 hours that I'm living? Like, that's very important. Anything that we do or hear, if you're able to contextualize it to an individual level and bring it down to an actionable thing, if it's worthwhile, then we are really becoming a human filtering system for this AI slop that's coming in. And to be honest, Think With Me is one such experiment, because this is not recorded, edited, and polished and whatnot, right? I'm thinking live. So it's basically trying to be this small, narrow passage, which is kind of stopping the AI slop that you're going to be seeing and consuming. And if more people can be at the path of this passage and think through with the AI, like how we did right now, right? So we curated all the sources, put it into Notebook LM, synthesized a debate podcast, and then listened to it, and then creating a human layer thought on top of it. So Think With Me itself is one way to show that you're a human thinking through this process. But the irony of this is, the more, let's say, we create 10 or 100 such Think With Me podcasts, then that itself becomes a base for me or anyone to create how to think like this person, Moses Sample, right? So yeah, I'm going to leave you with all these open-ended questions, which is, what do you think about this dead internet theory and what you have listened to from the podcast, the debate, and this human's interpretation of the dead internet theory, and how the trust stack is being envisioned at a tech level and at a human level? All right, so that completes the Think With Me session about the dead internet theory. And if you have any thoughts on the open questions that we have had during this course, and if there are any blind spots that I've kind of missed, please point that out. And I would like to continue having this discussion and think through and kind of have this public thinking series or Think With Me series, where a human and an AI are thinking together. Let's see how that goes. Thank you for tuning in and your attention.